Hello, my name is Jack Blade and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. Today we are playing some Satisfactory and we are specifically doing a tips and tricks videos. So what are the tips and the tricks about? We're talking about early game power generation. And this might be a great way to have like as a framework for you if you're a first time player prepping, you got the game, you want to like try it out before 1.0 and see what's up, or you've just like this might be after 1.0 release and you're trying to figure out how power works. Some of these things might change, some of these things might stay the same, but essentially the principles won't change. So hopefully this will be good for you. Now let's get into it. Biomass burner. This is the first machine that you get to place that actually generates you power, and it is also the thing that most people want to get away from the fastest, but it does have a lot of extra functionality that is unique to it, that is really good. So what's up with these? So let's look in. They can produce 30 megawatts per minute, or 30 megawatts per machine, and if you overclock them fully, they can produce up to 75 megawatts. And we have different kinds of fuel. Like I've placed them down here so you can see. Anything organic, including literally just like animal carcasses or like berries, like whatever it is, you can smack that in here and it's going to burn through that and give you some power. But the best thing you can do, and the best thing you can burn here, is the solid biofuel. It burns between 0 and 4 solid biofuel per minute, depending on how much of its capacity is being used. And on that note, these uses, if I place in some fuel here, if I just go like so, and I place in another 200 there, if you look here, they can now see that they have a production of 0 but a capacity of 600. Something to keep in mind is that this is the only power generation method that actually has it this way, where it's not actually wasting fuel. You can see that it's not draining anything if you don't actually need it, which means that it dynamically just goes up and down depending on your need, up until its capacity level, which is 60 in this case, because I've connected 2 of them. So yeah, that is a unique feature that only the biomass burners have. So with that said, if you want to unlock the solid biofuel, that is in the hub. Once you've gone to tier 2, you can find it under obstacle clearance or land clearance, and then you can unlock the chainsaw and the solid biofuel. Use the chainsaw to just cut down a forest and then turn that into your biomass and then into solid biofuel. That is my 100% recommendation. Skip everything else, just go straight for that as fast as you can. Until then, don't bother with anything other than just shoving, like find some leaves, shove in, and just rush that. It's so good to get that early on. So if we look in here, when we start out, we need to handcraft all of this. So out of leaves or wood, mycelia, or like alien protein when you unlock that. And then you can craft that into solid biofuel. However, that is a very time-consuming process, especially if you're doing this vanilla, which everything we're doing here is like you can do all of this vanilla. I want to be clear about that. So that means that in this case, I've set up leaves here, and I've set up a bunch of leaves being processed, and they go into constructors. And this is a 100% efficient process where it takes leaves and turn into 60 biomass per minute. Over here, it merges, it goes in, and then for 120 biomass per minute, it creates 60 biofuel, which can run 15 biomass burners for 15 minutes. If you're burning them at full capacity, you're burning 4 per minute. You can see here, 4 per minute is the max. That is going to be for 50 minutes. So that is if you're using full capacity. If you're using half capacity, it's going to be 100 minutes, and so on and so forth. Which is why my recommendation is, like, as fast as possible, get one of these set up, one of these lines, where you're shoving leaves in, or wood, in which case one constructor on a Mark II belt, because that's what I'm using here, you unlock these very, very early on in tier 1 and tier 2. I don't remember which one, but it's something you should immediately go for, like for the gameplay, not the power generation. But when you have the tier 2 or Mark II belts, go for those immediately. And then with the Mark II belts, if you want to have like the extra speed and stuff like that of production and make like a little bit extra solid biofuel, make the same setup. Instead of having two of these making biomass going in, you set these to wood. Because if we go down and look here, biomass wood has 300 per minute. You literally cannot keep up with that. Just does like not gonna harm. You don't have the belts for it. However, and this is the important bit, it means that you can get 120 out of each constructor for wood. That means that if you get, like, you can put in 60 as well, which means that from one of these you can take it out and split it into 2 constructors. It then gets processed into biomass, 120 on each, but you can have 2 constructors making 60 solid biofuel each per minute, meaning you can fuel the double amount, or just have 2 leaf setups, or 1 leaf and 1 wood setup. Doesn't matter, that's up to you. But the more of these you make, and the more expansive you make this in the first place, the slower the drain of this fuel in each machine becomes. So right now you can see there's 15 stacked up here, and they're using some energy here, using 24, and it's 450. It's gonna take a long time before they run out of power. But if I were using 450, the maximum capacity for this network, it would run out in 50 minutes. So to slow that down, if I connect this up with another 15, what we're doing is doubling it. While still using the 450, I would have 100 minutes of power time. Like, my recommendation is also like set a timer on your phone or something so that you don't end up hearing the boom and like things shutting down and you have to go and fix it. So basically, you have a 450 megawatt capacity out of 15 out of one of these setups, and you never have to handcraft your solid biofuel again. Don't do that. It's time waste, and you have better things to do in the game than stand over here and just craft. Okay, so let's see what changes we know are coming for 1.0. We're looking at, this is a modded thing for now. It's probably going to look different and probably behave different as well. We're looking at bioburners with inputs, so that right now you need to manually feed these with the solid biofuel. You have to go into each machine and place these in, right? However, for 1.0, that is changing. They are going to do something along these lines where we can feed the solid, like the biomass burners, automatically, which means that the only manual part is input of the leaves and the wood and like all the stuff that you are turning into biomass and then solid biofuel. And that is your first setup. This is, I'm gonna go very slowly here so you can see how I've done it. You can see, if I just go into photo mode here, that I have very, very clearly like made a symmetrical setup here of 15 biomass burners, and I've made like a second line over here, and this is for 900 what's it called, megawatts of capacity. And then that's my early game power done. I don't need to worry anymore. Like, I could easily double this up and have a little bit more, and just like, there's a lot of trees on the map, or there were once I'm done. But that means that I can easily have all the power that I need up until the point where I set up my first fully automated power system, which is the coal over here. And this is a super, super easy to build, beginner friendly setup. So let's start with the burner, like the coal generator in and of itself. What happens is it uses 15 coal per minute, and it uses 45 water per minute. So this is your first experience getting into the game where you need to use liquids or fluids. The fluid dynamics is a fickle master. So how do you avoid problems? I'm just going to remove that here because we need to check this out later. Essentially, when we are building this, I'm going to start with like this little tip here. If you want to be able to place these on grids, the water extractors, I'm just going to do this. Me being able to do this is a mod called Infinite Zoop. But yeah, you can see that it is snapping to a grid here. If I place it just on water, that is not the case. So if you want them in nice, neat lines like this, you can place foundations so that they are underneath the machines, and you will easily be able to get very nice, smooth line or straight lines with water extractors. Essentially, I've always built these in lines of 8, and that means that each of them generates 75, meaning that 75 times 8 is 600. So we get 600 megawatts of completely automated power generation. And the place that I'm on the map has 4 normal cold nodes, meaning we get 60 from each from a non-overclocked miner. What this means in the long run here is that the like we need to take 2 of these and merge them, so we get one full 120 line, because these 8 need 120 coal and they need 360 water. Each water extractor gives us 120 water, and they are set up so that not only do they feed these 4 machines from each side, this one in the middle like supplements all of it so that you get a nice even distribution of the water, and make sure that you have no problems whatsoever with your fluid dynamics. And I'm saying this, if you're new to the game, you will have problems with your fluid dynamics at some point. And we avoid this today by, first of all, building as close to the surface of the water as possible, because these pumps have 10 meters worth of headlift, as in they won't, like if you place this and go 10,000 meters up in the air, they will stop. Like the water will stop 10 meters up. There's like around like here, I think. The machine will just go like, nope, I have no more in me. Like I can't carry the water higher. So what happens is you build this, or what you should be doing is you build this closer to the surface, so that you don't have to use pumps. Pumps can cause problems. If you can, in this build specifically, do your best to avoid pumps, and this should work fine. So how does it work? How do we set this up and start? Well, I start with just like placing all of my coal generators out. And then for myself here, I have placed a foundation, a 2-meter foundation like this. I'm going to do this so I can show you. And then I placed in the junctions first, like so. The reason for this being that there are some bugginess with the pipes. So if I have a pipe, let's just grab you and connect you up here. If I take a pipe and I connect a junction here in the middle of this is going to be buggy. So to avoid that, I need to then replace the pipes in like anyway to continue like doing this. Now you can see that they kind of start and end instead of like going all the way through. And this is because of a bug that basically it calculates the pipe as both being just the pipe with no junction and pipe with the junction at the same time, and it can cause like throttling and problems with your pipes. So very easy fix is just place your foundations first, then place the junctions, and make sure that the junctions are higher than the input. You're gonna have 0 problems after that if you've done it like this. Okay, so this is a very visual setup, very easy. Like some people need the more text-based. Head over to Reddit and read it. Let's Build guide. Otherwise, you can just follow along here. So then this is just your normal manifold with Mark II pipes, or Mark II conveyors. Sorry, not pipes. And they feed 15 in here. This is Mark 1, this is Mark 2 along the main manifold, and so it's gonna be fine. Now, to make this work, I need power. That's why this needs to work. This needs to be set up. We already need this. You can't skip this and go straight to this. Why? Because we need power to power this. So over here, I'm going to take this power and I'm going to connect it up over here. Ta-da! So what happens now is these miners, they will start going. Well, they should start going. Let's double check that everything here is honky-dory. And yeah, okay, they are full. That's why. You can see that the miners are full of coal. That's why they aren't doing anything, but they are powered. And that coal is now being pulled over here. We've also pulled the power along here to power the water extractors. So what's happening here is you can see they're pumping up water and filling up everything. Before we connect any coal, if you connected up coal first, go disconnect it and go empty out your coal generators of coal. You want to fill everything up completely with water first. Then, and only then, once you've connected up the water and filled the machines up to the point where the extractors are also saturated, you then connect in your coal and you are a go. Now, this is a manifold, so it takes a little bit before it's running at full capacity. And also at the end of this, it's always a little bit like iffy whether or not these two are working at full capacity. And a very, very simple way of resolving that is by manually putting in coal. Once it's started to reach these machines and the manifold is starting to fill up, help the manifold fill up. Is going to help a lot to get a very quick setup so you don't have to wait, because otherwise it's gonna work. You just need to wait like 45 minutes before it actually works. So to avoid that, just go in. You can see, okay, now it's starting to hit the manifolds here. So I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna place in some coal here. And because of that, you can see they are turning green ahead of me. The coal, as soon as it hits, it's gonna turn green and then it's gonna go yellow again because there's not a second piece of coal yet. And that is because the manifold has not saturated. So doing this, oh, I wasn't supposed to overclock there. I was supposed to place in coal. There we go. Now I can just place in some coal. And meanwhile, all the coal that is actually being mined goes along and fills up the machines so that the belts are also full. Because you can see over here, which means it's full. It's gonna skip spitting in here until one of them is used, and then it's just gonna fill up and go to the next one and the next one, and gonna keep doing this until you hit the last two machines, where it's gonna be like a perfectly efficient, like it gets exactly what it needs, exactly when it needs it, most of the time. If you're unlucky, it's gonna take a long time before it's actually fully efficient. So by filling it up, you fix that and make it easier for yourself. That means I now have 600 megawatts capacity. This is fully automated. This is a set and forget system. I don't have to care about this ever again until I want to make more of it. And what I can do now, because this is fueling itself, so what I can do now is place this line in again, and I can disconnect this. And what you will see is that it is constantly producing, like we said before, it's different from the biomass burners, as in they produce and have a capacity that is always at the maximum. It doesn't dynamically adapt, and it will always burn these 15 per minute. It won't stop just because it doesn't need to burn as much. So that's something to keep in mind as well, that you will be using the full line of coal. You can't just divert that because like, well, I'm not only using like 60 megawatts, it's fine, right? No, you need to have these here. You need to make sure that like this coal is dedicated. And what you will also see now is if I connect this up so that we have both the biomass burners and these connected up, that we still only have the 600 production here. It's going to prioritize the coal setup over the biomass burner setup. It's only going to start using the biomass burner setup after these 600 is actually being used. So that's why we now have a full capacity of 1500 megawatts, which in my opinion is a pretty decent early game capacity. Like you can do a lot with that early on. If this is your first time playing, it's a nice and sleek and clean way of doing this. The way that I've gotten this pipeline to work or look the way I have is I'm going to remove this. I can show you. You can go in here and press build mode. And you can see that it's changing, and I go from horizontal to vertical. And if I start from down here, I'm going to get this monstrosity. But if I start from up here and go down, you can see that I get this very, very nice straight line that just goes down and in. And that's how I've done this. So that I've set this up very, very simple. And as far as you can see, these are being fed exactly at the right rate. It's being replaced exactly as it needs to keep running at 100% efficiency forever. You're set. Go have fun. All right. And if you liked all of this, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, hit the like button, comment, and I will see you guys in the next one, or I will see you on the Discord. And even better, I can see you on Patreon. If you enjoy my videos and want to support, I have started a Patreon, and channel memberships are also coming up soon. I just need to figure out exactly how to make everything work, like on a technical level, and then I will have those enabled as well. Other than that, I will see you guys on the 10th of September for my first live stream when Satisfactory 1.0 drops, when I'm starting my new world, a new series. And I look forward to seeing you there. In the meantime, have a good one. Bye.